Welcome to Savor the Story podcast, where books and snacks are life. Sup, guys?
That's it?
I'm Nicole. That's Vanessa. We're here to have a great time.
Did you just forget everything?
I did.
That's why I got quiet, because I was like, is she going to keep talking?
No, I forgot what I was going to say as soon as I was so focused on upbeat energy.
Dang it. Okay, well, welcome. It's bonus bites. Bonus bites where we're going to finish out the, I was going to say the Rivers of London series.
We're not. No, that would be too many.
It's not the Rivers of London series. Whatever. You know where you saw the title of the episode when you opened it, so
you knew what you were coming into.
That's right. It's Where the Library Hides, Book 2 by Isabel Ibañez. That is what it is. Yours is still
sticky.
Crazy. I have a lot too, but it does not look like yours.
Oh, I know. I had all the notes, and so let me just remember last time we did this when I was like, I waited until the last minute, and then I was panicking, and I was doing it really fast, and I probably didn't take as many notes as I could have. Well, this time I immediately did it after that one. And
after we recorded, yes. And all of this applies to both of us. It's not just you.
Right. So here I am 3 weeks later, and I'm like, good thing I have all these sticky notes. I don't know what they say anymore.
No, I don't either. It's going to be a fun ride for all involved, because I do know, like, obviously I did the same thing as I did last time, to where we're like going to be more streamlined, where I did put a note, like an overview of every chapter, so like that, but I did not put any notes for what I felt for all of my little tabbies.
Oh jeez.
So here we go.
Oh yeah, so it's gonna be like real time
remembering what the fuck I read.
Yes, great. Yeah, so I also and I know we talked about this briefly, I really wish this time, or with this book specifically, because we both didn't know what happened. This is the first time that we've done a bonus bites where both of us didn't know what was going to happen. Yes. I really wish we would have had the forethought to be like, when we get to this point, stop and make predictions.
Right.
Because I had a couple where I was like, wow, I was wrong.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, we had this conversation while we were reading, where we said we should record the episode in chunks, where we like read like 5 chapters and then record what we feel and what our thoughts and theories are, and then record after 5 more chapters. I mean, it would have sucked for reading fluidity, but
yeah.
But we would have been able to get all of our theories out and then talked about how wrong we were.
Right. Yeah. So for this book, it would have been good if we did it like, because it's broken up into like
the parts.
Just did it for parts, because I feel like, just added on to our weekly recording schedule anyways.
Right.
Like if we had it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was as I was reading through, I was like, some of them I was like, haha, I knew it, and some of them I was like, oh
whoops.
Well, that was oops. Yes. Or I wasn't right, or
yeah.
Some of them I made these predictions and then it never came up again, and I was like, oh, well, okay.
I guess that didn't matter.
I guess that was non-importance.
Right. Maybe I don't know if we could try it for the next one or not, but maybe we can find out. Mr. Chatty will tell me good breakpoints.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe we could do it that way. Like, this one was clear because it was broken into parts, but I'm most books are not like that. So, like, what's a good break point for record? Maybe we'll see if we could try it, see if it works, if it's stupid.
Or it's just like clips of us like, oh, I don't know, I guess we were wrong. I guess we suck at reading.
Yeah, it's a lot of us just being like, I'm never giving a theory again.
No.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, it's really gonna be, because all the times I'm like, I totally knew what was gonna happen. Now you guys are gonna find out if I'm a liar.
Exactly, because it will be recorded and Vanessa will not cut it.
No, you've been very mean that way.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Now I come to expect it, so
You have
I've
to
come to live with
specifically
it.
say, please cut that. Otherwise, it's not getting
Please
cut.
cut this out.
Yeah. We're ready to get started.
I'm ready.
Okay,
Do we need,
see how
we
it
need to-
goes?
yeah. Do we want to give this is where we left off?
Oh, yeah. Tell me. Give me an update of
I was hoping that you remembered. All right.
where the river is flowing. What is that
Yeah,
called?
so-
What the river knows.
What the river knows. So basically, the biggest takeaway at the end of What the River Knows is, and you can correct me, step in if I start to, is the very last thing was just Wit basically saying, I got her.
Yes.
She fell for it.
Yes.
It's over for these bitches. And
Yes, he says, will you marry me? And then the next page, he says, she fell for it.
right. So that's the mindset we immediately stepped into this next book. Like, man, I think you were saying, I hope it's not true. I hope it's a fake. And I was convinced that Wit was a terrible person.
A terrible person. I think we were both right. I also, going into this one, I did read the dedication because I happened to open to that page, and it was like a couple sentences, and it says, for the readers who stayed up all night agonizing over the epilogue in What the River Knows, this one is dedicated to you. And I was like, what a perfect dedication.
Yeah. Not very many dedications get it spot on, but
Yes. This one is 100% absolutely true. I'm glad that I did not have to wait to read this, because I would have been one of those readers who was like, what did he mean, for like months and months.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very happy.
So, that's good.
Are we ready?
I am ready.
Okay, so the prologue, it starts off exactly where we left off. She loves him and is considering the marriage proposal. And he never says why or that he cares, like in this beginning part, right? He never tells her that he loves her. He never says, like, I want to marry you because I care about you. He never says, I want all of your money. Just, all we know is that he says, marry me.
Yeah, I have just a couple notes, and it was mostly just thoughts, you know.
Okay.
I thought it was cute that in their first encounter where they're talking, and she basically, because she's like, wait, what? Why do you want to marry me? And like, blah, blah, blah. One, he blushes over underwear. Like, out of all the things, like, you're blushing over her underwear. But secondly, I was really happy. It seemed that there was, like, I know it's really early. We're talking page 3, but I was like, okay, good. Still banter. Wit still seems exactly how he was before. And of course, Inez is still really super trusting.
Yep.
But
yeah, she says, I loved him with my whole heart.
yeah,
Like, she's like all in.
yeah, it would have been a really sharp book if she was like, no.
Yeah.
I'm going back.
I'm
I'll just go back.
Yeah. You're right. Okay, so chapter 1, we finally get some of that Elvira trauma that we were expecting to happen at the end of the last book. So we finally get some of that. We get Inez saying yes, and we get a long Wit POV here. So I do like that we got so much Wit POV in this one. I feel like it was really needed in this book. This one specifically is when he goes to the club for a witness and a license because they need to make this wedding happen like immediately. And he was very like outcasted.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So the amount of like, I don't know how much went into how much emphasis went into how much outcast
Yes.
he experienced at this club and stuff like that. I really thought that would come in more later.
Yeah, it really didn't, huh?
Especially with like him finding his friend and like being the stand-in witness and stuff like that. Like I was like, oh, he's gonna play a huge part later. He's gonna show up later or something like that. And then it never really happened. He just kind of like fell off, and there was like the smallest hint of like, you know, maybe something happening between like his friend and I think his sister later in the book. But like that was it. I was just like,
it feels like such a big deal here that like everyone hates him and everyone has all this. I guess it was just to give us more background of Wit, but I don't think that background affected anything else that we learn about him, right? Or anything like that. So
yeah, I felt like this was foreshadowing for something, like some heavy foreshadowing. And I don't know, maybe if this book would have been or if this series would have been 3 books, maybe it would have come up again. But I was just kind of like, as I was reading, I was like, okay, this guy's gonna come in and save him. He's been following him or something. I don't know, something weird. But
I do think you're right. I think there's a little bit of foreshadowing here for just him, like what kind of person he is, what kind of like things he was doing, like what we learn about him later. Like I feel like it was just foreshadowing for that storyline, like his background storyline. And then so we get to chapter 2, and now all of a sudden they have to get married today.
Because and it's not that he wants to get married, he needs to be married today. She waits for him and he shows up late. He gives her his reasons. And reasons. She sees it like a means, just as he does. Yes. So they both their reasons aren't necessarily that, like their reasons for getting married are not necessarily that they both love each other, but they both kind of see like a means to an end that they both need to get here. I did write down the note, I do not like his attitude. He is not being communicative. Yeah, so I know I'm backtracking a little bit too, but that whole thing with like him going for drinks and announcing to the whole entire bar that he was getting married to Inez, and then his like communicative like stance and stuff like that. I was like, who is like, why is this all here? Like, one, like, what are we setting up for? Is like, he has to be a bad person.
Right, exactly. This definitely is starting to be like, okay, there's something not great happening here because he's being very secretive. Like, just across the board.
Yeah, so I also had thoughts on this where it was like, is this like another Tio Ricardo thing where he, you know, the overemphasis of how she can't trust him in book 1 because, you know, like
she thinks he's a murderer.
Right. So like to help sell that story, he's kind of a dick.
Right.
So a little bit of that in here is what I felt like this was. Like,
okay, I can see that. I
have to sell that he might be a bad person. So that's why he announces it in a bar, why he's being stubborn and, you know, like stuff like that. Like,
okay.
I don't know. He won't answer Inez's questions.
Right.
Like, and of course she's like, what? Inez, as soon as she sees any kind of vulnerability in him, she's like, I trust him.
Yeah,
Look
exactly.
how vulnerable he is. And I was, God, shut up, Inez! Don't do this!
Yes. I love that she wears black to the wedding. I don't know why I enjoyed that so much, but I did. I just felt like maybe that was also foreshadowing. I didn't even think of it. I just kind of was like, oh, that's funny. She sees it as a funny thing. But I wonder if that was the author being like, yeah, she's wearing black to the wedding.
Yeah. It's already not starting out on,
Exactly.
So.
Well, and then he shows up late, and then, yeah.
Yeah. And then she literally waits until, like, the very last minute to ask why. When he's like, marry me, or, like, are there about, and she's like, he's late. Now I should ask why.
Yeah.
Like, Inez.
Yeah,
that should have been your first question.
Yes.
But
exactly. And then, but he does say, "You're the one I want, Inez." He says those words.
You're the one I want because I know you have money.
Shut up, Nicole.
Oh, okay, my bad. He didn't say the money part.
We still love him.
Definitely wasn't thinking it.
Right. Okay. Chapter 3. The wedding. The vows were cute. I did like the vows. And then it says he cut his parents off. Like, we learned that. And so here's where I had a theory. I was wrong, but I did have a theory here. That I was like, maybe he needed to be married too because he had the money. And it was his way of, like, keeping his parent, like, if he stayed single, then his parents could come after him for the money or whatever. And so I was like, okay, maybe he also has money and he has to cut, in order to keep his parents out of it, he has to now have a wife. So then he could be like, well, my wife took my money.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting theory.
So it was really everything I could to, like, how is Whit a good person? How is Whit not what Nicole said he is?
I have to prove Nicole wrong. That's what was going through.
Yes.
Okay, I got you.
So this was my theory because I was like, Nicole cannot be right.
All right, well, that's fair. But
yes.
Yeah. So actually, I think Henry is actually, I liked him best in this.
You did?
And, yeah, he was just so nice. He ended up being like, he's like, oh, shouldn't you have flowers? Like, shouldn't you, like, do, like, all these things?
Instead, you have a gun?
Yeah, instead you have this.
Yeah, why do you have a gun on your hip?
Yeah. He's just like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
But, yeah, I know you touched on it a little, but, like, Whit's vows, like, I felt he was being super, like, I know he's being selfish, obviously. That comes up later. The reason he's marrying her is obviously selfishness. But, like, dude, you're about to ruin this girl's life. You could have tried.
Right. To not? You could have tried. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, try to, like, be nicer. Like, be, like, like, the whole thing with, like, the flowers. Like,
oh, I see.
How hard would it have been to get, like, this girl flowers? How hard would it have been to be on time?
I was going to say, he didn't even show up on time. Of course he didn't bring flowers.
Right. Like, how hard would it have been to, like, have just a little bit better vows where, like, just, like, I don't know. Like, he didn't come out and be like, I'm marrying you because I want your money. But he also didn't try. And I think that bothered me, actually, like, more than anything else.
Some level of preparedness could have made the situation a little bit better. I don't know. All right. Well, the next chapter, I wrote down, banter is still going strong. Because I knew that was one of our things we for sure wanted to have in book 2. So banter's still going strong. They sneak back into the hotel. There's, like, lots of talking. They have their wedding night. At first I wrote down, was there sex? Because I feel like it was, like, very like
PG.
It was very PG, yes, but it was just, like, unsure at first, and then I feel like a couple either, like, pages later or something, I was like, oh yes, they did. Yeah.
In the very beginning of that chapter, they talk about a little bit about having sex, and he's like, I'm not going to ravish you against this column. And I was like, but can we? Like,
should you?
Shouldn't we? I mean, are we going to get any of this?
Right.
Like, speaking of ravishing, can we?
Right.
Like,
Yes.
I don't, like, once again, like,
So
you knew you were gonna fuck her over. Like, you could have at least given her an O. Come on.
that's when so that's one problem I kind of have with this chapter, I think, is that he's like, they have really good banter. He's very sweet with her. Like, I think that if you're going to be a dick and you're just going to, like, end up stealing all her money and his plan was to run away, right? Like, or I guess his plan was to still help her out. But, like, your plan was to hurt her. So why come in and be, like, sweet and nice and caring and loving and, like, all that kind of stuff just so that it hurts her more? Like, I feel like it would have been better if you were just an asshole. And then she was like, well, that was a weird decision.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I get that. I get that train of thought. Like, definitely would have been easier on her heart, I guess. So, like, just, you know, rip the Band-Aid off, walk away. But also, like, she's made it clear that she doesn't care about the money. Like,
right.
And he knows her history with her family. Like, he could have given her something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he was so concerned about, like, how she would react to it that he didn't try to prepare it for, like, anything. There was that, like, lack of communication. Just, you know, I'm not saying that, will you marry me because I need your money to save my family? Would she have said yes? I don't know. It's a book. Like, but
yeah.
I feel like he could have softened the blow.
Yeah, by not being so fucking nice.
No, by being nice.
No.
Like, I want both. Like, that's,
okay.
I want you and I want
your
the money.
Yes.
But I want you more.
Right, of course. I did write down that I can't wait for this storyline to close so that we can start looking for Dad. Because I was like, this is, like, let's just get past this, like, cutesy, like, oh, we're so cute, we're so nice, like, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, let's just move on. But little did I know there was a lot more to this storyline.
I know. I have, it goes on forever.
Yes.
But, I have another mention of how vulnerability is apparently Inez's thing. She loves that shit.
She really does. Yes.
But also, like...
See, he says, you're so beautiful. And then he carries her to the bedroom. He's just so sweet.
I know. Well, and on top of that, like, it's... I don't want to say it's confusing, but he's obviously... I mean, he obviously knows his way around a ladies downtown. So, like... I
love the way that's phrased.
Right. But, like, he's still, like... blushing at the sight of her stockings on the bed, and, you know, like,
because he loves her.
Just say you want to fuck, Inez.
So this is why it's so sad, because we were both right, obviously. Like, he did fuck her over, but he also loves her.
Does he?
Yes. He does. Like, just read this chapter only. Just don't read any other thing.
Yeah, just don't read the beginning. Yeah.
Okay. So the next chapter, we are on chapter 5. So it's the morning after, and they tell Theo Ricardo the news. Yes, they're going to talk to Theo Ricardo. They're going to tell him all the things. Also, Abdullah needs help. We also find that out in this chapter, and Wit wants Inez to stay while him and Theo Ricardo go help Abdullah, and I do not like the split up.
Yeah, did you get the feeling that he was just telling her something to get her to agree? Like, he was like, oh, but if you stay behind, you can look through all his things. Like, that felt like manipulation.
It did. He was using her, like, desire to get knowledge and stuff like that about Theo Ricardo and all that kind of stuff. Like, he was using that in his, like in his to his advantage.
Right, by telling her like, oh man, you know, obviously I was trying to tell you the whole time. Tia was listening at the door, probably, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, not totally correct, but I did put a sticky note in here where I was like, I don't know, this feels like a trap. But, you know, hindsight, it was definitely more of, if maybe manipulation is a better word.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, manipulation is a word. I did have I had a theory in this chapter. Obviously, it wasn't real or right, but I had another theory of like, well, I was like on the verge of thinking like, was their marriage real? Like, I started to question if he like set something up to where it made it look like they were married, but they actually weren't married. Like, I started to get that vibe from him, especially during his POV in this chapter, just because he starts talking about like a plan, like, I was like, what plan? But he starts talking about like different things in his POV that I was like, this feels fishy. So I did start to think like, did he set that up to make it look that way? Because really, they didn't have it. He didn't have, like, for what happens later, he didn't have paperwork that showed they were married. He just went in and was like, we're married. Give me my wife's things, right? So
yeah, her things are my things, hand them over.
Yeah, it wasn't like they had to wait for a marriage license or anything like that. So he technically could have just faked it and made her believe that they were married, and he still would have got the same outcome, right? So anyway, that's where my head was at a little bit. I was just like, well, all right. Well, I don't really like where this is going, and I'm gonna just move on past it.
Right. But if you move on past it, it gets worse, because now
it does get worse.
Jula is like, all our things.
Yes. Yeah. I do have a lot of Post-it notes in here, or little tabbies, but I think it was just me.
Anytime you had an emotional reaction to wit.
And there's a lot. There's so many in this one. It was just like every time I was just like, oh no, or oh yes, or like, I don't know. I don't really know how whatever. Anyways.
But,
do you have anything else in that section?
Well, that whole thing with like the Fincastles stealing. They find out that the Fincastles have taken all the items from Cleo's tomb.
Oh, that's right. That's why they have to go help him, right? Abdullah.
Right, yeah. So, I mean, I think we already all knew, but we also find out that, or it's confirmed that they're looking for Cleopatra's spell to make gold. I think it's pretty much implied in all of the other, but I think this is like probably the first time where like it's actually like stated like this will make gold, right?
Well, yeah, because we knew that Wit wanted that, but we didn't really know that was like that everybody kind of knew that existed, and
and everybody was looking at it. Yeah. So I actually made a prediction and I got it wrong.
Okay.
Wildly wrong.
We're really on a roll here with our theories and predictions.
Yes. So in this part, I was like, oh, so the Fincastles are working for Sterling. Got it. That's in my brain. I was like, okay, so Sterling finally had an in, because of that thing where they left and they had that secret meeting in book 1. Instead of meeting Abdullah, it was like, oh, they're meeting Sterling. Turns out they probably weren't. But that was my guess at the end of chapter 5.
Okay, that was a good guess though. I feel like you were on the right track. Or you felt like you should have been on the right track.
Right.
All right. So the next chapter, it's kind of a big one. We learn about Fincastle and Mom. And that Isadora is her sister.
I was not a fan.
I was also not a fan.
Yeah.
I did not like this twist. Honestly, I feel like the reason why I didn't like it as much as I didn't like it is because I felt like I didn't necessarily, I wasn't 100% believing that it was true. And so instead of And then once, I mean, we find out later, like much, much later, that it's like confirmed, right? But until that point, I the entire time am thinking like, okay, is this real? Is it real? Is it real? And like, it just kind of, I feel like it took away some of the enjoyment a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and so I guess one, it felt like convenience. I mean, I didn't get enough out of book one for me to, I guess, and which is, I guess, maybe fine to like put those dots together. So it felt like a convenience thing. But also on top of that, I just had so many questions. Like, and you can't just hide everything with time and distance. But I was just like, so like, how did Inez's mother hide another pregnancy? Like,
right. So you're right, because it's believed that she saw her mom at least every like 6 months, right? So,
right. And that they were basically living together, and she was, yeah.
So like her and Inez's dad just was like, okay, it's time for us to go see Inez, so let's pretend we're back together. Like it did, like there was a lot of logistical questions I also had with that.
Yeah, so I mean, which I guess back in that time, if your husband's spending 6+ months a year out at a dig site and you're not with him, like if you timed it right, yeah, you could probably pull that off. But like, true. It's also implied that she's also like in a smuggling ring and she's traveling and like, where does this lady, that's my next sticky note is, where does she find the time for all of this? Yeah. Because if I have to wake up at 4 a.m. to go to work, when I get home, I don't want to do anything else, much less have a smuggling ring or take a boat to Venezuela to go visit my child. Like,
right. Yeah, no, Mama Inez has got a lot of shit going on. Yeah. Just, I don't understand.
And then also just things like, I mean, we figure it out later because we figure out what Inez's deal is later. But I was just like, how does she get off the island? You know, like, yeah, it's too many questions.
Yeah, too many questions.
And once again, Isadora is like completely trusting. Like, Wit's like, I don't trust it. I don't trust it. I don't trust it. And she was like, I think I'm into the next chapter by now.
You are. Yes, yeah. Because that's the first thing at the top of this Post-it note for this chapter is Wit doesn't trust Isadora.
Yeah, doesn't trust her.
No.
Like, keeps questioning all the things. Like, okay, if this is true, how did she get off the island? If this is the thing, like, blah, blah, blah. And Inez is like...
Yeah, I think Wit is, he's a little bit of the... He knows what's up because he's also
a bad person,
fucking her over.
Yeah, he can recognize it in others.
Yes. So yeah, in this chapter, we get Wit's POV where Porter shows up and they are broke, and he says, "This was very, very sad because in this chapter, Porter says something to him about loving her, and his reply is, if I did, I wouldn't have married her." I was so my comment that I wrote down was, I'm heartbroken to hear these words, but I don't trust them. I think he's lying to Porter. That was what I was thinking, which I was kind of right, but not. I don't know. So this one's a hard chapter because we do learn all about, I mean, I guess we don't get the full plan yet, but we do get a lot, right? Where Porter comes back and tells him like what's going on and all of that stuff.
I just have a sticky note that's just like that what you said, like where you said, if I did, I wouldn't have married her. And I said, well, that's mean, Wit. Yeah. Once again, you could have just, I don't know. Why did you feel like you had to say that? You could have just told, like, if you didn't want to say anything, you could have just said, fuck you, I'm not telling you. Yeah. Or I'm not talking about it, or that's not what we're here to do, or something. Or I don't know, something that doesn't lead me to believe that you're a dick.
Yeah.
Like, this felt like an insert for me, the reader, to be like, ah, yes, Wit is an untrustworthy asshole.
Yeah, I know.
Where it's also, you're also in the back of your mind thinking, like, he's just saying that because he doesn't want to tell his brother how he really feels. Like,
I was still there. I was still there 100%. And then we get into the next chapter and it's gone.
Yeah.
Because the next chapter is when we find out that he went to the bank and withdrew all the money. I will tell you, I cried in this chapter. Because Inez was so heartbroken. Like when she meets him on the street or whatever afterwards, like her response to everything is just so heartbreaking. Inez made me cry.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I have a couple before that, because this
you do?
She also, I think in here, also learns, like, more backstory about her mother and Isadora's father. Yeah, Fincastle. So, like,
oh, yeah, that was the
more
last.
of the thoughts about, like, he's a thief, or she's a thief, and more of my questions, like, how the fuck did she spend so much time in London? Like, and then, yeah. But yes, so, like you said, we've now found out that Wit has given all of her
money
away, which I get. They brought up, like, oh, if we don't, your sister would have to marry this ancient,
right,
toothless old man who probably has syphilis, right? So yes. You're doing her a favor by doing this. You're saving her from a terrible life. But I found it to be short term, like a short-sighted plan, just because the reason that they're in this situation is their father has gambling debts that nobody is, like, taking care of, or,
Right.
So you're stealing all of what, now that all her money's gone, now what?
Right. I do feel like I understand that was the whole point of this story, but, like, I truly believe that if he would have went to Inez and said, like, my sister is in this situation, she probably wouldn't have given him all of the money, but she would have given money to the sister, I'm sure, to, like, get her out of the situation, like, pay for her to come live there with them or something like that. Like, I feel like he felt like he was in a position where he didn't have options, right? This was his only option, was to take all of the money. And talking to her gave the opportunity for her to say no. And instead of asking for permission, he asked for forgiveness, basically.
Right. Well, he doesn't even ask for
forgiveness.
Yeah, but yes.
But, like,
yeah.
Yeah. So he, like, I don't know. I have a lot of faith in Inez that she would have done something to help out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it just felt like, how I always say, like, if you have a blackmailer, like, you pay them and they just keep coming back for more money because they always have something over you. This thing that Wit does by taking her money doesn't change the underlying situation. So it's almost like paying a blackmailer. You're not fixing the problem. What are you going to do? Now, leave Inez and marry another rich person when he does this again?
Right.
I did not really like this part included in the story because it just... I guess, people make mistakes, and maybe that was just the best, but never in the rest of the book is it addressed again.
Right.
She just shows up, and now she's in, the sister just shows up, and now she's there. She's still under the guardianship of her father.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're not fixing the problem.
No,
so,
until she's married, right? Like,
right. So I didn't, like... This whole thing, while, it felt like convenience, and it felt like something to create struggle, I guess. I mean, it still makes me sad.
Yeah.
But I'm also irritated.
Yes. Agreed.
So.
All right. Well, part 2 starts off with a short Wit POV. In this POV, I think he's just basically talking to Porter about what happened a little bit, but I wrote down, I still believe he loves her. I still believe it was just for his family and that he fucked up and he could have talked to Inez about it.
And my sticky note says, the only thing this chapter tells me is that Wit isn't done fucking with Inez.
Oh, we were in different places.
Headspaces.
Oh, dang it. So the chapter 9, before I give an overview, I'm going to tell you that my first note was, my heart hurts and I feel like crying.
Again?
So Inez and Isadora come up with a plan, and then Wit shows up and says that he'll help. And so that's kind of what we get in this chapter. And then obviously at the end of this chapter, we get a Wit POV where he has a stalker.
Oh, yeah.
And he never says, I wrote down that he never says the other reason he's still here.
Yeah.
So...
I do before Wit's POV though. I do enjoy the part where she sets conditions or boundaries.
Yeah, she does.
So I feel like this right here is where, like, that's that point where she finds out Wit has taken all her money and she's made another terrible mistake. I kind of feel like that is the turning point in the book where she finally maybe grows up is the right word, or she realizes. I don't know. I don't want to say she has more going on for her than she realizes or whatever, but I feel like right here is where she really starts to turn around and say, like, all right.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, I can only rely on myself. She doesn't ever look at Isadora, but she does, like, all right. Yeah. I need to set boundaries with you and I can't trust you.
Right. I think that she almost is like, I'm not happy with you. I'm not happy with what happened, but I still need you to complete my plan. Like, I still need you in this circle for me to be able to get what I need out of this. And so she's like, here's my conditions for you to continue to help me.
Yeah.
So, yes.
But yes, back to the stalker.
Yeah, in the Wit's POV, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you immediately know? Like, you already knew?
So I wrote my sticky that I thought it was Isadora.
I didn't write it down, but I kind of thought it was too. I had like a fleeting, I wasn't like sold on the idea that it was her, but it was like a fleeting, like, ooh, was it her?
Yeah, so I wrote it down and I put the sticky note at the top because there is that little page break where then he comes back to the room and both of them are sleeping and, they both seem to be like, I don't know. So I kind of had like in a little bit of a like, how did she beat him back? But yeah. I was pretty sure at that point that something wasn't right about Isadora. So.
Stupid Isadora. All right, next chapter. Theo Lorena shows up and her cousin, and Theo Ricardo and Abdullah are arrested.
Oh man, so much.
Big chapter. So her cousin is a little bitch.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand her sister was just killed, but
she's very unpleasant.
She's very angry.
Yeah.
Also, I will say that never really I don't know what the payoff would be for that, but I feel like her being so angry never pays off.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm trying to say, but
well,
I don't know.
Yeah, I understand the anger, but it doesn't feel like it doesn't play out anywhere. It doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Does her anger at her sister being killed need to have ramifications later in the book? Probably not. I think probably would have been more weirded out if she would have came and she'd been like, I'm here to help you.
Right. Yeah, it's true.
So I can appreciate the fact that she shows anger for that reason, but I guess I never really understand why Inez's aunt and cousin show up at all.
Yeah, I don't understand why. I mean, if they just came to pick her up to take her back home, Her being the cousin. What's her? No.
Oh, the body.
Yeah.
Yes. Her cousin's body. Yeah.
Yeah. So unless it was for that reason, but other than that, I don't. Why did you come?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't really see how it moved the story along. It could have been something, but I didn't see what it was. So.
No. All right. The next chapter, we're bringing Farida into the mix now, and they're gonna go. They find out about the secret camera that she has, the magic camera, and they're gonna go to the auction with the magic camera to see what's on the other side of walls, which I think is a really cool magical item.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Minus, there was some, it was oh, I can see on the other side of walls, but not in boxes. Or, it was just I can't remember exactly what it was, but I remember reading it being it can see through walls, but it can't see through people. It was just weird stuff like that. I was just okay.
It's very specific magic.
Yeah. So.
It knows it knows when it's a wall or a different type of material. But yeah, I thought that was a cool thing. And then in Whit's POV in this chapter, he follows the girls.
Yeah, which before Whit's chapter, I also have. By this time, I'm completely sold that Isadora is
evil.
Is evil, because a couple pages before this I'm suspicious of Isadora again. This feels like a trap, I said, and then right before Whit's chapter I was the girls are going to the tradesman's gate. Isadora has contacts who told her where it is. Dude, this is a setup.
I did feel like that too when she's like, I know it's this way or whatever. She's like, I could have swore this is the way you're supposed to go. I was like, that feels fishy. Which ends up being true, right? Because in the next chapter, they are attacked. And Whit jumps out and saves them.
Yeah. I also have... He's like, I had recognized one of them, my crafty wife. And he's like, where are you off to? And I was like, man, you lost your right to be upset with your wife, man.
Are you even allowed to call her your wife? In a cute little, ooh, she's a little crafty wife over there.
Right, she's told you she doesn't want, and he's even said, I don't love her. I'm just here for, stop trying to be cute.
Yes.
What are you doing, Inez?
This is why I knew he still loved her. Or he always loved her. He just really loved his family, too. And then I think by the end of this chapter, they make it to the front door of the place.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that's all that really happens. They are saved from the attack, and then Whit is like, no, it's this way.
I like the part where Inez tells Isadora to just stop and just let Whit fight them all.
Yes.
She's like, no, don't get your gun out. Just let Whit fight them all.
Yes.
Well, that's convenient.
He's got it. Don't worry. Also, this is funny because in the next chapter, at the top of the little Post-it note that I wrote is Whit keeps referring to Inez as his wife. We just had that conversation. And then they break them up into Isadora and Inez and Whit and Farida at the auction. And Inez wins the auction for the piece that she bids on. And I don't know what this means, but I wrote Whit's POV, he's crazy.
Okay.
Is this the part where he goes on stage, he fakes?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, maybe that's what that's about, because that's all I wrote.
But I don't know. I thought it was hilarious that she's just 50,000!
Yes!
500 or whatever she said. She just said a ridiculously obnoxious amount.
Yes.
And everybody's like, oh, and I was like, good girl. If you don't plan on paying,
It doesn't matter either way, whatever you bid.
Say whatever you want.
I was starting to get a little nervous about her bidding on stuff, though, because I was like, these people are not to be trusted. Like, what are you doing?
Yes, definitely putting herself in a situation where shit can get fucked up quick, right?
Yes, and you're just bringing all this attention to yourself.
Right, yeah. But luckily, bringing all this attention to herself, somebody already knows who she is.
Which is the next chapter, right? So we meet the founder, Mr. Sterling.
So, were you surprised by this? By
that
Sterling,
Mr. Sterling
was the founder?
I think I was. Like, I don't know if I was expecting it to be Mr. Sterling, but honestly, the thing that shocked me more, I feel like I didn't have as much shock about it being him as it was him just handing the ring back. That I was like, there's something up. Like, there was something too easy with this. Like, I felt like he put a spell on the ring, or like something happened with the ring where he was like, haha, it's yours again.
Right. Like, I don't want this shit anymore. Take it back.
Yes. So I feel like less about it being him and more about how easily he was just like, here's this back. Sorry for your troubles.
Yeah. I think you said it right. Like, I wasn't looking, I mean, when they were like, oh, the founder is Sterling, I was like, okay, yeah, that tracks. But like you said, I was more surprised to like him. He's like, you know what? I'll give the ring back. And I was instantly suspicious, right? Just like probably everybody else. So I was like, okay, well, he's obviously trying to find her mother.
And Fincastle.
Yeah.
Yes. And
then right before Whit's point of view in this chapter, he's back to being a dick again. Like, she's trying to find, like, that's what you really want, right? And trying to get him to admit even the littlest bit. And he's like, nope, it's the only thing I want. This feels unnecessary.
I know. I don't really know how I feel about everything at this point. Okay,
so then we have a Whit POV.
Yes, we have a Whit POV. Do we get anything out of this Whit POV?
I didn't really.
No.
Mine is just more like, I kind of like a note that all the magic that they talk about in this is cute, and I liked it. But other than that, I didn't really get anything out of Whit's POV in that one.
No, man, I am still on a roll here. I never lost faith in Whit, apparently, because in the next chapter, so we go into part 3, so we're in chapter 15, and I wrote, if you hurt Inez, bro. Apparently, obviously he's already hurt her, but I don't want him to. And then we get another memory, the Cleopatra memory of the Chrysopia? How do you say that? Chrysopia.
Yep, that's exactly how you say it.
Okay.
I looked it up and everything.
Yes. Why is she so trusting of giving him this memory? And I think it's because she so immediately, like, tells Whit what happened. I don't know why she just, like, after what he's done to you, like, you're just like, okay, yeah, I'll just tell you this memory. Like, you know what he's after. And so why would you go and immediately just be like, I had this memory of this Chrysopia thing. And you just shared it. Yeah.
I only assume that she is so trusting with this stuff is because she knows where, I'd like to think that she knows where his motivation is. And if she tells him, she knows he's going to look for it. The only problem I have with that theory is there's nothing that's keeping him from leaving you behind. So it's still a lot of trust on her part.
Yeah, it is. And I did, like, so normally it's what I want from books, I really want them to like communicate and talk. I hate it when they like have this big thing and they're all working together, but each of them have their secrets that if they shared those secrets, it would help the big picture. And in this case, she did exactly what I would normally want them to do. And I was upset about it.
You cannot win.
No, you, the author, cannot win in either way. There is this part I seriously broke my heart because she calls him Mr. Hayes and he says, "Don't call me that. We're not strangers." And she says, "I have to because one day that's all you'll be to me." Mm-hmm.
I know. I kind of liked that.
Broke my heart. So I understood it. Like, I get what she's doing and I get what she's saying, but my heart was so broken. Like, it was one of those moments where, do you get that feeling? You might not, you black-hearted mean person. But where, like, you feel it in your chest, like you want to cry. Oh, yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you feel that, you just don't ever get to the point of crying.
Usually it's about puppies, but yes. Okay,
great. I feel like in that part, I had that feeling in my chest where I was just like, oh no, I'm so sad. Mm-hmm. Okay, so then we go to Alexandria.
Yeah.
Why did I write this? Julius Caesar and Cleo, Inez and Wit. Oh, it was a theory that I had.
Oh, okay. Is this gonna be like a time travel theory or
like why did I? No. It was like a foreshadowing thing where Julius Caesar and Cleo worked together to defeat whatever they had to do, and so I was like, so my theory was that Wit was going to help Inez defeat her mom. And then they fall in love.
Oh, yes.
That's what I wrote down. And so that was my little, like, theory, or I guess you could call it a theory, but it was basically me just being like, oh, she told us that story about Julius Caesar and Cleopatra because she wanted us to think about Inez and Wit being in that same situation. And then I also had a theory here that did not come out, but okay. My theory was that the Chrysopia was in in the journal, like magicked into the journal, or that Inez was going to have to draw it, or like something with Inez's drawings were going to manifest it in some way, or like something like that. So, like I said, it did not come to fruition, but that's where my head was in this spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About this time frame, when they're in Alexandria and stuff like that, at this point I already knew that I was not a fan of Isadora.
Yes.
But does Isadora seem like a completely different person in this book than the first one?
Yes.
Like,
yes.
She is a different character, almost. Like, I mean, maybe that was the point, where like she gives her a reason to trust her so much in the first book, and in the second book, you already have like, oh, I trust her, But I found her way more annoying.
Yeah, she just didn't feel like the same character.
Right. Like in the last book, she was like calm and like collected, and I understand she was secretive in the first book, but she just, in this one, she's like a petulant child.
Agreed.
And I was just like, man, if it wasn't for the same name and like all these other things, I would think this is a completely different person.
Yep, exactly. I agree. In Wit's POV, I really, really, really loved him in the first book.
Yes. In
this one, obviously you love him less because he did terrible things. And even by the end of it, I still liked him. I still whatever, but he's never going to make the top 10 best book boyfriend list.
No, yeah. So kind of like you were saying, you really like him in the first book.
Mm-hmm.
Break him down a little bit in this one, and then she tries to like build him back up.
Mm-hmm.
But for all the reasons I've already said, I don't really feel like I ever get back to the point where I liked him even half as much as I liked him in the first book.
In the first one. Yeah. I know.
Like, I just don't think that she did a good enough job, like,
bringing him back up.
Bringing me back and redeeming him. So
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, he saved her life and stuff like that, but I just think it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. All right. So they get back to the hotel in Alexandria, and they go to the bank.
Yes.
And,
yeah, this is where they're trying to get info on
Mom.
On Mom.
Yeah, trying to get info on Mom. Also, just a random note in this chapter that it happens throughout it, but anytime Inez and Whit talk about money now, like not having money or like anything, I get this really awkward feeling, like it's like secondhand embarrassment that I feel, and I'm just like, you guys should not be talking about money. Like, don't talk about it, because then it just makes me remember what you did, and we don't need to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yes, but then the end of this chapter is when they get outside after all of the things happen, and her mom is out there.
Yeah.
So that's where it ends. But tell me what you've got during that whole endeavor in the bank.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't take any notes during the in-bank thing. It was just kind of like a filler to me. I mean, I won't say that I wasn't interested in it. It just felt like it was just part of the story that needed to happen. I think actually the end part where I don't know, it felt like they started to come back to like some kind, like have like a conversation about feelings or whatever. And she says, like, she's trying to, I don't know, be honest, I guess. And then of course that's when her mom shows up. So it was like,
of course,
moment ruined. All right, got it.
Okay, so the next page, or the next chapter, Mom was warned off from going into the bank. I had a theory.
Okay.
I had an Isadora theory that she has magic to let her travel. I don't think that was true, right? Okay, great. Well, I had a theory here that she had magic that allowed her to like travel to all the different places, because Inez was always making comments about like her cleanliness and that her hair was done and like all of that kind of stuff. So it almost made me feel like she was able to like travel almost like a teleportation type magic or something, to where she's just like always put together, because she doesn't actually have to like travel anywhere, and she could always be where she needs to be because she just whatever. So anyways, they in this chapter they go to Mom's address and Mr. Sterling shows up.
Yep.
So that's this chapter. This chapter really just felt like I just had anxiety the whole time.
Oh. Okay.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. I knew everything in that chapter probably had to happen, but I did not take any notes during basically the whole thing.
Okay.
It was just like sticky notes to say like, hey, this is what's happened in this chapter, so you know when Vanessa talks about it.
Excellent.
But I didn't really have any thoughts minus just like...
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, like you said, Sterling shows up.
Yep, Sterling shows up.
They have a conversation. He steals everything out of the house.
Yes. He gives her the offer for her to help them, and gives her a calling card for her to be able to contact him, and then takes all the shit. Yes.
Yeah.
And Inez is doubting Whit so much, and she puts magic items in her mouth.
Oh, yeah.
Why? If you don't know what the magic item does, why are you risking putting it in your mouth?
Yeah.
Well, maybe we should talk about that, Inez.
Yeah. One, one, don't put things in your mouth at all. Come on. You don't know where they've been.
Things. Yes, exactly.
Come on. But yeah, and then on two, they're magic, and you don't know what it does. Like,
yes.
That's like another level of...
Yes.
It's like, one of these bottles could have poison.
Mm-hmm. Let me put it in my mouth. We don't know what it does.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I don't know. It was silly. And then on top of that, like, the one thing that she picked is exactly what she needs for later.
Of course it was. Yeah.
Like, as soon as she put it in her mouth, I was like, okay, this is going to be significant later, but why?
100%.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's why I kind of feel like this whole middle section is just like, it's all build up. It all really didn't feel like book 2 stuff, right? It felt like, I feel like it shouldn't be that much build up in the book 2. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but so the next one, they make a plan to go after going through the papers and more of Wit not trusting Isadora. It's feeling too obvious now. So this is where so up to this point, I had been totally anti-Isadora. Like, something's wrong, blah, blah, blah. And at this point is when I start second guessing myself because it felt too obvious. And I was like, okay, maybe she's fine. Maybe there's something else going on because it's so obvious that she's a bad person.
Right. Yeah. I had the same train of thought. Like, when it was like kind of like, oh yeah, it could be her. I was 100% sure it was her. And then as soon as it got really obvious, I was like,
maybe not.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong. All right,
yeah,
cool.
Exactly. Yes.
So she has another vision. It's so convenient that Cleopatra's Chrysopoeia, or whatever the fuck this thing is called, is now waterproof.
Oh, yes, that's what I wrote down. Waterproof?
It's like, oh, that's so nice. Like, I don't know. And I feel like from the parts where, like, they find her house past, I started to lose interest in the book pretty quickly. I won't lie.
I think I agree with you.
Like, through all this, I was just kind of like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, all right, it's waterproof now. Great. Like.
Yep. Oh, and then I guess this is also the chapter, because it was the point where we started feeling like it was so fucking obvious, then the last sentence, or whatever, is Isadora has her gun. And we get into the next chapter, which is a big fucking chapter, because it is a motherfucking Dora.
Bum, bum, bum. They've all gone to an island where there's no way to get away from her. Yeah. And now she's taking shots.
Yep, taking shots, and we get...
It's amazing to me how fast Wit moves. Like, that must be his secret power. He can jump in front of bullets. Like, like the close proximity, and he's faster than a bullet, man.
Yes, obviously, like, that's what his magic power is. And he tells her that he tells Inez, "You are the love of my life. I will not lose you now." I wrote it in really big letters on my note post-it. "You are the love of my life."
Yeah. Well, I was really surprised. I mean, I shouldn't have been surprised, because look at what Isabel did to Inez's cousin in the first book, like point blank. So when Isadora falls to her death, that was like, oh, that's convenient.
Yeah, I questioned it at first. Like, is she actually dead? Like, because we didn't see her get shot. We didn't see whatever. Like, they were just like, oh, yeah, she fell down this hole and now she's gone. I was like, is she? She's going to come back. She's going to make a reappearance. And
it was fake blood. It was ketchup. She had a bottle of ketchup in her pocket. I don't know. Yeah. Yes. But then that's, like you were saying, immediately followed by, like, Wit realizing, he's like, nope. I love her.
I love you.
Still don't believe it, but whatever.
Wit is shot in this chapter. And so now we have to figure out if he's gonna make it.
Yeah. So I actually had if you want to call it an intrusive thought in this chapter. So multiple times in this chapter, and in maybe a chapter or two before, Inez talks about how, like, seeing blood or seeing something makes her stomach turn. Mm-hmm. And every time she says it, in my brain, I'm like, great, she's pregnant. Am I the only one?
Yes. I did not think that.
Yeah, every single time, like, she's like, oh, that makes my stomach turn or roll or something like that. I was like, great. The one time that they had sex, she's pregnant.
Yep, exactly.
I turned out to be wrong, but
you did. I'm happy you turned out to be wrong, because I would have really hated this. But so in the next chapter, Whit is very, very sick. They're back in love. She's forgiven him.
That's all it takes.
Yep, that's all it takes, is for him to be almost dying and for her to be like, oh my God, I love him. And so now they're back in love. And I don't know if page 282 is me saying that this is a theory, or did we already find out that this bottle will save him? Because I wrote down the bottle that she took will save Whit's life. Mm-hmm. And I think at this point it was my theory, which is the one theory I got right. And I feel like that's basically this whole chapter, is that it ends up with them just being like back in a good place together.
Yeah, him just being like, she's like, why did you save me? And he was like, well, I can't think of a better way to tell you that I love you. Yes. Or you could just say I fucking love you and I was wrong.
Yes, exactly.
Like, I was an asshole.
Yes.
Like, that's nice of you.
Right.
Please save my life.
Right.
But at the same time.
Yes, exactly.
So silly.
So silly. But I am happy again. I'm back to being happy that they're in love again. In the next chapter, I mean, it kind of follows along the same storyline. They finally kind of discuss everything, and finally, honestly,
yeah.
like, also, I wrote down, I don't know when it happens, but I wrote down that he says "good girl," and I hate it. I'm out.
Yeah,
I was in. I was so happy they were back. I was so happy that we were back in love. And then he says "good girl," and I really hate that phrase. I know that it's really big in like the romance world of like whenever the says "good girl," you know, it's like a big moment.
Like the praise.
Yes,
the praise king.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. It makes me it feels like a little condescending thing to me. I don't know. I don't love it, but whatever. We get the cup. We learn about the cup of the magic of the cup, whatever, that they give to them in the,
oh yes,
in the prison, right? Where if you fill it up, it means that they want to talk.
Yeah,
I thought it was a little silly, but also I kind of liked it. I think that's it in this chapter.
Don't they almost have like another sexy scene?
Ooh, is that where we get the good girl? I don't know where we get the good girl at. I just know that
maybe
it happened, and I don't like it.
Yeah. But yeah, so through that chapter or whatever, when they have their moments and they've reconciled or whatever, I don't know what my theory was. But I do know I expected him to have to do a lot more to win Inez's like love back or trust back or whatever. And in the end, I was like, well, it didn't take that much. My theory was wrong. It took much less to forgive him, but I guess it helps that he has a magic penis.
Does he have a magic penis?
Well, apparently.
Right. Literally, all it took was him almost dying. That was enough for him to whatever.
Yeah.
So then we get into the next. We're jumping into part 4, and we get a little baby Whit POV when he wakes up and realizes that his wife is gone.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
she's been kidnapped.
Yes, Sterling has taken her. Whit goes after her. Sterling wants to make a deal. And one of my post-its just says, how does he always find her? Maybe his magic penis is a tracker.
Tells him the way.
Because he didn't even know she was gone. And all of a sudden he's just like, yeah, I know exactly where to go. I know exactly how to find her. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know. Sterling is talking about like wanting help of whatever, but he's telling her like how much resources he has. And like, if you have so many resources to find her, why are you not just finding her? Why do you need Inez for this?
I mean, later we find out who Sterling is.
Yes.
And he does kind of bring up the whole, like, well, it was a test to see if you were loyal to me or loyal to your mother, right? So that's kind of, in hindsight, kind of back to what I was thinking. At the time, I did still have the same, like,
what are you doing?
This guy gives a lot of, for being so ruthless. He does kind of give her a lot of leeway.
Yep.
So,
Inez gives up. Next chapter, Inez gives up the info. Sterling has tracked the ring, and now we know why he gave it up so easily. So, another theory correct. Look at us go.
Yep.
And then this is the chapter when we find out that Sterling is her dad.
So at the end of this chapter, before we find out, because at the very I watched in horrified silence as Sterling became someone else entirely. I did have a sticky note that said, "Is it her father?"
Oh yeah. I guess I jumped the gun a little bit. So I did write down Sterling shed his mask. What the fuck? And then in question mark, I put her dad because we were on the same page. So then the next chapter we find out that it was confirmed it's her dad. And we get the story of him as Sterling. I wrote, what the fuck? I hate this. I also wrote, is she not his daughter? Like,
so many questions about this, right? Yeah.
I hated this reveal so much.
Yeah, I was not a fan. So like from here until basically the end of the book, until the end of the book, I did not put any more thought sticky notes because, like I said earlier, when I was like, man, I'm over this book. At this point where she's like, my dad is Mr. Sterling, I was like, all right, I'm out.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So many other things you could have done.
So many other things.
Everything. So, minus greed, which is what this comes out to, like, or whatever. I just, there didn't feel like there was any motives.
No.
You know what I mean?
It was just greed.
Yeah.
It was just greed. So, I guess.
Yeah, and that's disappointing to me.
100%. So now the next one, they're going deeper down after Mom. Whit's helping. They end up in the place with everyone. Oh, Whit helping them is when he comes in like as a secret, whatever, secret helper. They end up in the place with everyone, and Mama recognizes Whit, and we have a standoff in this chapter. Basically, is what happens, which takes us to. This whole section, this whole like next 2 to 3 chapters or whatever, I think it's 2 chapters, is just the whole of them just being down there fighting, trying to get out. Mom has known that Sterling was dad the whole time, which is wild. Mom picks Inez over Fincastle, which, why were you not doing that from the beginning? Like, now is the time you start picking your daughter over him. Like, okay.
Yeah. It felt like just a bunch of like little like redemption toss-ins, right?
Yes.
Like validation, Inez was the most important thing, or like whatever. But my thing with like if she's known, the mom has known that Sterling is her husband.
Right.
I don't know. I feel like she would have wouldn't she have warned Inez at least a little bit, been like, hey, even if you're not telling him, stay away from Sterling.
Yes.
He is definitely a bad guy.
Yes, exactly.
And I don't think she ever really, like, if she says it, I don't remember, but she definitely doesn't emphasize it.
No, she does not.
So, yeah.
So the last chapter before we get into part 5, I wrote, there's a part where Mom gives Whit, it's in Whit's POV, like the document they've been going after this whole time, and she gives it to him, and he said, Mom says, let's call it Inez's dowry. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's okay. You haven't been involved this entire fucking time. You were off having your own little family on the other side and like all the things. Like, you don't get to just hand this over and just be like, oh, I'm involved now. Like,
yeah. Yeah. It felt like, how do I roll this up with a bow?
Mm-hmm.
Or how do I tie this up with a
Yep.
bow, right? Like, I'm going to do some convenience here.
Yep.
And yeah.
Yep. And then we finish off the book with 2 weeks later, we have Porter and Arabella are here and they have a family dinner. Mom is on house arrest. Okay. Mm-hmm. Why are you not in fucking prison, bro?
Yeah.
And Whit made gold.
Yep. And Whit can make gold.
Make gold.
So I felt like the mom being in house arrest was, I just kind of felt like it was like, if I knew there was going to be a third book,
yeah,
I would totally chalk that up to, oh, she escapes again.
Yes.
But for this, I was just like, is it because she's a woman and like you don't think she's capable of like getting away from, or like slipping away?
Yeah.
Like, her history should tell you that she is not fit for.
Yeah, she's a wily one.
Yeah, like she's not fit to be at home by herself, like with just like one guy probably easily seducible.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
So I also have one more sticky note with the comment. Okay. How come every single picture of Whit, he looks like a psycho? Come on,
it's not great.
It's not a great picture.
No.
You're not helping. And then, so
the last little tab that I have is actually the page before that, which is Arabella, and it says, "But that's a story for another time." Do you think that she's gonna write a book about Arabella?
Maybe. That'd be interesting.
I would be interested to hear like how. So I assume if she wrote a book about Arabella, it would be after the events that just happened. And so now it's her like coming of age story. Right. Would be my guess. That's the end of our River of the Niles or whatever this duology is called.
But before we can finish.
What?
I need to know what you're rating.
Well, that's what I was going to.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that's where I was going to. I was going to say that's the end. And what were your final thoughts? I
don't know, like a 3.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's quite like 2.5 middle of the road.
No.
I did enjoy the first half.
See, okay, so we're different. I am 3 because that's middle of the road.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so... All right, well, I give it 3 stars because that's the star middle of the road, I guess.
Yes.
Is that what... Yeah, so... Yeah. I enjoyed the first half of the book. The second half of the book, I quickly lost interest.
Yep.
And by the end, I didn't really care what happened at that point.
Yeah.
And then when everything was like happily ever after at the end, I was actually kind of disappointed.
Were you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I don't like, I'm not usually like a fan of like books ending where you don't get a happily ever after, but the fact that it was just so easily wrapped up and so easily, and now we're good. Yeah. I was just like, dang it.
All right. Well, I can understand that for sure. I feel like 3 stars for a lot of the same reasons. Obviously I really loved Wit and I really wanted that storyline to be good, but I feel like what we got, like the downfall and then the easy climb was is what I wanted, but it's not what I wanted, right? Like there needed to be more than just like, oh my God, you almost died. I love you. Everything is forgiven.
I forgive you.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I would have been more happy if we just didn't have the whole money stealing storyline.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think it was completely this way, but I felt like it was a little bit this way. This next part I'm about to say is, it was one of those books where I got the feeling that the first one was written and it did really good. And they were like, oh my gosh, now you have to hurry up and get a second one. Yeah. And maybe there was no planning into the second one, or not as much, just like, you know, a couple fish bones maybe or something that was just like, all right, if this goes off, I have a path forward. But then when the first book did really good, she was like, oh shit, now I need a second book, you know? And I kind of felt, you know, that. So I was just like, it didn't turn out, it didn't feel like a book that had been, the whole series had been thought out, or the whole duology had been thought out up front. It felt like the first one got, and then the second one was if you want to call it a knee-jerk reaction. Yep,
I agree. I think I'm on board. Same thoughts, same feelings. I wish there was more. I liked it, but just not as much as I could have. So 3 stars. Well, that wraps up this bonus bite with this duology. And our next one is going to be June 1st. And it is going to be, I'm going to put it right here for everyone if you're watching the video, The Unmarked Witch by Miranda Lynn. And it's a duology. So it'll be June and July's. Neither of us have read this. I don't really even know how I feel about it.
Yeah, me neither.
The reviews were good. The premise sounds good. The premise sounds a little bit like Rebel Witch, so we're gonna see how that goes. But I was interested, and I was like, this seems like an easy read for us to do. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see if we're going to have to go back to reading books that we've already read.
Though I am really excited to try the read to a certain point.
Yes, so I'll do some chatting with Mr. Chatty and see if we can find some like stopping points that make sense. See how it goes. I mean, I almost feel like it's if they don't even have like, this is not a word, but theoryable things.
Okay.
If it doesn't have things that you can make theories about, then it doesn't really matter. I don't know.
Yeah, we can try it out. I'm sure there's something, right?
Yeah.
Like, there has to be.
All right, so we'll maybe the next one's going to be a little weird, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah. It's going to be great.
All right, well, go support us. Follow us on Savor the Story Pod everywhere you want to go. Savor the Story Pod on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Where else are we? Everywhere else.
All the places.
SavorTheStoryPod.com. Go to the website, and on there you will see all of our upcoming books that we plan. Our upcoming bonus bite books are everything. Everything is linked. If you so choose to support us with our affiliate links, we will love you forever. And that is all. Thanks.
Woo.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye. Get out of here.